Hello guys, and welcome back to something a bit different. Today we're not looking at Warcry. We will go back to Warcry next video, don't worry. But today I'm going to discuss something a bit different, which is the Lumineth Realm Lords. The reason for that is that I recently was asked on Reddit if the Warcry rules for the Lumineth Realm Lords would also be able to tell something about their rules in Age of Sigmar. If you haven't seen the new Warcry rules for these guys, please check out my video in the link above, or check out the video from Red Rose Wargaming, who have also done a review on these guys. I'm going to link that below as well. But what I'm doing with this video is I'm taking all of the rules from Warcry and trying to translate them into Age of Sigmar. So let's have a look at the first guy here, which is the Alarith Stone Mage. Because he is movement 5 in Warcry, that means he's going to be a movement 6 in Age of Sigmar. That's very easily translated. It's just how most units work. Most movement 6 units are movement 5 in Warcry. Then we've got a save of 4 up. I think that's fair for toughness 4. That's usually what you see for toughness 4. 5 wounds. Honestly, that's just because I think he's going to have 5 wounds because he's a hero. Can't really tell from his Warcry wounds. And bravery, of course, is out there. I've just said it's 8. It could be anything. In Warcry, he does have a ranged attack, but it is the standard ranged attack which a lot of the casting characters get. That does not mean he's got a ranged attack in Age of Sigmar. In fact, I think he will not. I think he'll have a close combat attack, very similar to many other mages. One attack on a 4 plus 3 plus no rend, d3 damage. I think that's a realistic melee attack. He might be a little better than that, maybe he has 2 attacks or something, but I think should be very close to his combat prowess. He will be able to fly. He does have the fly keyword in Warcry. He looks like he's flying on the picture, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to fly. I would guess he's got some kind of special ability, but I have no idea what that would be, so obviously it's not in here. And I've only looked at his magic, because in Warcry there's one ability he gets on a quad, and I think that translates to his inbuilt spell, basically, in Age of Sigmar, which is going to be probably a casting value of 7, dealing d3 mortal wounds to all enemy units within 12 inches of the caster, and halving the movement of all units within 12 inches as well. I think that's what his spell is going to be, or very similar to this. I'm going to guess that he's going to come in at a cost of 100 points, probably. Now let's have a look at the next one, which is the SCINARY CATHALLAR. She's an interesting one. It's very hard to compare her to other characters in the game. I think she might just be a support character that doesn't really give huge benefits, so I think she's going to be in the 80-point range. Probably a very bad character in melee, so I've given her 4 plus 3 plus d3 damage, the same the mage has in terms of attacks. I don't think it's going to be more. 6-inch range, 5 plus save only, because she only has toughness of 3 in Warcry, so that normally translates to a 5 or 6 up save. Bravery of 8 again, 5 wounds, because that's just usual thing for many heroes, sorry. Yeah, then we've got the abilities. I think that she is not going to be a caster. I'd say it's probably going to be an ability like this. Emotional transference. When a friendly model wholly within 18 inches of the caster takes damage during the combat phase, Roll a dice for each wound it takes. On a 5-up, deal a mortal wound to the attacking unit. So I think she's going to be a character you want to have somewhere in the middle of your army, and then basically she's going to deal damage to opposing units whenever they deal damage to you. That's what I would be my takeaway basically from what I've seen in the Warcry rules. And again, guys, this is only speculation. You can have different opinions, and I do not have any information of Games Workshop here, so this is all speculation. Then we've got the VANARI Dawn Riders. So the first unit type here. I think they're going to come in at 130 points for 5 models, similar to Wild Riders. I've generally really made these guys similar to Wild Riders because I think that's what they are going to be. So I've given them a 10-inch move, 4-up save, because they are toughness 4 in Warcry, so I think the 4-up save is likely, and that normally goes with a tiny bit of a lower movement characteristic than 5-up save units, so I think the 10-inch move is realistic. 2 wounds, I'd say, and bravery 6. So they are going to have a spear. Oh, that should be range 2. Sorry, that's a mistake on my part. It should be range 2. 2 attacks, 3 up, 4 up, -1 on damage. I think, so this is the exact same attacks that Wild Riders have, and I think these guys are going to play a very similar role. Yeah. They would probably have a Steedmaster who gets 1 extra attack, I'd say a Banner Bearer probably with 1 extra bravery or something, and then a Trumpeter or whatever with adding 1 to run charge rolls. That would be the very basic leadership kit here. And then I think they will have some kind of ability, because units rocking lances or spears normally in Age of Sigmar have some kind of charge ability. So I'm going to say they will add 1 to rend and damage characteristic of the spears when they charge. I think that's going to be very close to what it's going to be in Age of Sigmar. In Warcry they have the generic charge ability that just deals damage. I think it's going to be something like this in Age of Sigmar. Right, so let's have a look at the next one, which are the VANARI Sentinels. Now, what's interesting about these guys is that they are basically exactly the same as the Idoneth Deepkin Reavers in Warcry. So they have the same ranged attacks and the same melee attacks in Warcry. Only thing is their move is a bit lower. They are 5-inch move in Warcry, which again translates to 6-inch in Age of Sigmar instead of the 6-inch that the Reavers have, which would translate to 8-inch in Age of Sigmar. However, I'm going to say that they would have probably 18-inch range, just like the Reavers. I would argue that they have 2 attack space on a 4+4+, 2 hit into wound, 1 damage. Now, from the High Sentinel ability, I'm going to say that these guys have an ability called probably Sharp-Eyed Scryhawk. So at the beginning of your shooting phase, you may pick 1 enemy unit within 20 inches and add 1 to hit rolls against that unit. I think that's how it's going to be done, so you can basically hit on 3-up, 4-up every turn. That's what I think is most likely for these guys. And last, oh no, not last, sorry, then we've got the VANARI Wardens. Again, I think they might be 130 points for 10 models. Yeah, again, they are in a similar ballpark to the Namati Thralls. I'm comparing these to Idoneth very much because obviously those are both elf factions. They have relatively similar stats in Warcry, and I think we might be getting close here. 6-inch move, 4-up save, because these guys are toughness 4, so I think they will have the 4-up save. Bravery 6, 1 wound. Their spears have 3-inch range in Warcry, and I think that will be in Age of Sigmar as well. It's going to be interesting with 3-inch range. That's going to allow you to bring very big models, units, and still attack from all ranks. I think that could be interesting, or maybe they're going to have the 32mm bases. Actually kind of looks like it, so on a 32mm base, having 3-inch range is going to allow you to attack from 3 ranks still, which is amazing. I think it's going to be 2 attacks, 4+3+, probably, not amazing. It might be 3+3+, I'm not sure. No rend, 1 damage. Yeah, whatever. I think basic leadership stuff here. I don't think there's going to be anything too interesting in there. Then I think they might have the Moonfire Flask that they have in Warcry as well, which would be a once per game on a 2-up deal D3 mortal wounds to an enemy unit. That could be possible. And then I think what's more interesting is the Shining Company rule. That's one in Warcry that's for all VANARIs, but I think it might just be on the VANARI Warden War Scroll if it isn't an army ability. It might also be an army ability, but I think it might just be on these guys for the Shining Company. So if this unit contains 10 or more models, subtract 1 from hit rolls made by enemies targeting this unit. What does that mean? Because yeah, you subtract something from the attacks characteristic in Warcry. I think that's going to translate directly to -1 to hit for enemies, and it's probably 10 or more models. So if you stack this unit big, you're going to be hit on -1 all the time, which is going to be good. And I think that's very likely in terms of how the rule reads, with having to have friendly models nearby in Warcry as well. So I think that's pretty likely. We might see something completely different as well. Who knows? So let's have a look at the last one here, which is the Stone Guard. Stone Guard, I think, are going to cost a bit more, maybe 140 points for 5 models. So definitely more elite. They are going to have either mallets or hammers, so there's going to be 2 different attack weapon options. Only a 4-inch move, and they have 3-inch in Warcry. That translates to 4 inches on Age of Sigmar. 4+ save still, not like it's not great, I know, but I think it's going to be 4 up. But probably 2 wounds each, because they are higher wounds on Age of Sigmar than in Warcry than the other guys are. So 2 wounds seems likely. For the 2 weapon options, I think they are going to have like the mallets, which is 2 one-handed hammers, 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 3 up, 3 up, no rend, but 2 damage, because these guys, this weapon option has higher crit damage in Warcry, so I think that's going to translate to higher damage. And the other one has higher strength, which is the hammer, so I'm going to assume that's a 2-handed weapon, probably 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 4 up, 3 up, so a little bit worse to hit, but the longer range, and then with a rend of -1, but only 1 damage, because it does have lower damage in Warcry. I'm not 100% certain on these. I might be far off here. Could be. I think probably I'm right with the higher rend on the hammer, but again, the damage and so on, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, and then what's going to be interesting about these guys as well is I think they're going to have an ability called Mountain Stance, and I'd assume that it's going to be at the start of the combat phase. You can say that this unit is in Mountain Stance. If you do so, you can only pile in 1 inch, and the rend characteristic of attacks that target this unit is worsened by 1. So saying that you're in Mountain Stance will allow you to ignore rend to a level of 1, and it's going to reduce incoming damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 though. So that's not going to be very helpful against enemy infantry, but it might very much help you against monsters and stuff. I think that's going to be what their ability is. So you might say, well, the 4-up save isn't great, but I think combined with this, with worsening rend characteristic by 1, suddenly the 4-up is a lot better, because even if they had a 3-up save against many enemy units with a -1, they would already be back to the same save. So I think that's what these guys are going to be. And that's already it. That concludes our look at the Lumineth Realm Lords, because these are all the cards that are going to be in Warcry, and obviously we don't have anything to go off for any other units, which are basically only the Light of Iltharion and Tactless himself, which we know of. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Please do let me know what you think these guys will be like, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.